The holiday season is supposed to be joyful. At least, that's what we're told. Everywhere you look, there are lights, decorations, music, smiling faces, all telling us that this is the happiest time of the year. But for a lot of people, that isn't how it feels at all. Back in 1960, Rod Serling wrote a Twilight Zone episode that isn't about monsters or alternate realities. It's about a man who's invisible to the world and what happens when the universe finally gives him a break. Let's talk about it. Fantasy, sci-fi, nostalgia, reruns of it. Night of the Meek begins with a man who's lost. Henry Corwin is a department store Santa Claus. He wears the red suit, listens to children's wishes, and smiles when he's expected to. But when the store closes and the costume comes off, what's left is a man who's utterly exhausted. And not just a simple exhaustion, the kind of exhaustion that settles in after years of disappointment. Henry drinks, but the episode never treats it as a joke. There's no slapstick comedy here, no wink to the audience. His drinking feels like a man trying to numb a deep down ache of the soul, an ache of wanting to help the poor and forgotten children of the world, and not being able to. He wants to give children what they ask for. He wants them to believe in joy and miracles, but he's surrounded by reminders of what he can't afford, reminders of what he can't fix and can't change. And during the holidays, those reminders feel much louder. Anyone who's ever sat through Christmas feeling down knows exactly what Henry is going through. This episode works because of the great art Carney. Carney, who was struggling with alcohol himself at the time, doesn't play Henry Corwin as a clown. He plays him as a man who's worn thin by life, but hasn't turned bitter. That's important. There's still kindness in Henry, still empathy, still a desire to make someone else smile, even when he can't. That's a feeling a lot of people recognize, especially around the holidays. You show up, you do your part, but inside, you're just tired. One of the quiet truths of Night of the Meek is how it captures the pressure of the season. The expectation to be cheerful, the obligation to feel grateful, the unspoken rule that sadness should wait till January. Henry doesn't fit into that picture, and because of that, he's treated like a problem. Someone who doesn't belong in the polished holiday display. That's where this episode, this very special episode, quietly stings. Because many people feel that same thing, like their pain makes other people uncomfortable. But things are about to change for Henry. He's about to enter the Twilight Zone. When he stumbles upon a sack of gifts that seems to come out of nowhere and answers his every wish, the episode doesn't turn flashy or loud. It stays small, personal, human. Henry doesn't ask for riches. He doesn't ask for power. He just gives. He wants to give to everyone, and the way he gives matters. It's not about magic, although it seems that way. It's about seeing people who've been overlooked and giving them a special gift in the Christmas season. Children, the poor, the forgotten. During the holidays, being seen can feel like the greatest gift of all. Most Twilight Zone episodes end with a lesson that cuts sharply, a twist that makes you sit back and think. Night of the Meek does something else. It softens. Instead of punishing its main character, the episode rewards him, not for being clever, but for being kind. Rod Serling didn't usually let the universe be fair, but here, just once, he allows decency to matter. And that choice makes this episode linger.
Nothing for you, nothing for yourself, not a thing.
You know, I can't think of anything I want. I guess what I've really wanted is to be the biggest gift giver of all time. And in a way, I think I had that tonight.
When you're younger, Night of the Meek feels slow, sentimental. But as you get older, the more it speaks your language. You understand Henry's disappointment better. You recognize people's quiet struggles. You see how easy it is for people to slip through the cracks. And during the holidays, those feelings don't disappear. They come into sharp focus. That's why this episode is so special. It often finds viewers when they need it the most, when they're at their most down and out. Rod Serling wrote Night of the Meek during a period when he was increasingly aware of how often society overlooked quiet suffering. While Rod was famous for exposing cruelty and irony, he also believed deeply in compassion, especially for people pushed to the margins. This episode feels like Serling deliberately setting aside cynicism to say something gentler, that dignity matters, kindness has value, and even in a world that can be harsh and indifferent, decency still deserves a place. Rod later said that this was his favorite Twilight Zone episode. Night of the Meek is remembered not because it's clever, but because it's sincere. It reminds us that not everyone enjoys the holidays, and kindness doesn't need recognition. And sometimes the people who give the most are carrying the heaviest loads of all. In a series famous for its darkness, this episode chose light. Not the blinding kind, but the soft glow that keeps you company. In the end, Night of the Meek isn't asking us to believe in miracles. It's asking us to notice each other, especially during a season when it's easy to forget how many people are quietly struggling behind the decorations. And maybe that's why, more than 60 years later, this gentle Twilight Zone episode still finds its way back to us year after year. Because sometimes, kindness is the most timeless story of all. This is Rich from Rerun Zone. Have a good night and a very Merry Christmas.